Hey YouTube, Midwest Outdoorsman here with another review. This is not actually for a knife, but a saw. It's the Sagen saw. Take a look at it here. And I've used it quite a bit. This is for cutting the pelvic bone, or the ribs, or the legs, or whatever, any part with bone on it, on a deer or elk or whatever you want. This is the smaller model. They do make one called the Sagen Saw 2 that is a little bit longer here. But seeing as how I hunt mostly whitetail in Wisconsin, I don't really need the bigger saw at this time. So I've used it quite a bit, and it works pretty good. It's got a fine-tooth bandsaw blade right here, which I like a little bit finer saw for that bone because it seems to help with going through it more than a super coarse uh, blade. It's got this lovely bumper on here too, which is really nice. So when you're going through the pelvic bone of a deer, you grab it, right? And let's say you've made the initial cut, and you have it all the way up to the sternum, and you've either gutted the deer out to that point, or you got the guts out, however you want to do it. You take this on either side of the pelvis, and you stick it down in there. And this hook is great because it keeps it on the bone. But you stick it down in there, and you saw all the way through down on one side. Well, you can either do it the way I'm telling you, or you can do it a different way. But well, the way I do it is I saw through the one side of the pelvic bone, go over to the other side of the pelvic bone, saw all the way down there, then I remove that big strip of bone completely out of the pelvis. That way you can pull the guts and everything, the colon, all that stuff will come right out, and it works really well. And you could just make one cut and get away with it, or if you have some other way you want to do it, there's a million different ways you can gut a deer. That's the way I do it, and this really helps me quite a bit. It's a bandsaw blade. It's not super rust resistant or anything. I got a couple little spots on here, but I've used this quite a bit. Most of them do wipe off, but and it lasts for a decent amount of time. I've probably gutted or lend this to people that I've been hunting with. 10 deer at least, I'd say. Pelvic bones and cutting off legs and whatnot. And also making that cut up from the sternum depends on if you have a deer you're going to cape out and mount or whatever. But if we just shoot a doe or something, and we know we're not going to cape it out or whatever, you're not going to obviously mount a doe. So instead of using your knife and dulling your knife to cut through the sternum and the ribs all the way up to the neck so you can get at the heart and lungs and everything a lot easier and let it also ventilate to cool the meat down, this is a great option to just saw right up through there, and it works pretty well. It's all just a hard plastic handle. It's not grippy or rubbery or anything like that, which is fine. It makes it a little easier to clean. Depending on your hand shape or whatever, as far as ergonomics, it's kind of a one-size-fits-all deal. I got a big hand, and it works just fine. You can put your thumb up here, but this bumper really helps without puncturing the bladder. A lot of times if you take a saw or anything else, you try to saw down through there, you can puncture the bladder. Then urine can get all over the meat and stuff and taint the meat. And this is great because as it goes down and it's hitting, there's no sharp edge here like with a knife or something or just an open saw to puncture. And this little hook here keeps it on the bone, so it keeps you straight in the cut. Seems to work pretty well. It comes with sort of standard, condor sheath. Nothing fancy. I think I paid $14 at Fleet Farm for this, and it's worth every penny. And I actually have their information right there, if it'll focus. I'm trying to see here. Sagen Incorporated, Devil's Lake, North Dakota. Made in USA. It's always a good thing. I do have another saw too, a Gerber saw that's got like kind of a grippy handle, and it has a blade like this. It doesn't have a bandsaw blade. It has just a regular steel blade. It has a hook on the end like this, but it doesn't actually have a plastic bumper on here. I like them both equally. I wish this plastic bumper was on the Gerber, so what I'm going to do with the Gerber, I don't have it right now. I can't find it, so I'm going to have to get back to you guys on that, and I'll show you that when I get it done. I'm going to actually get like that plastic dip that you can dip tool handles and stuff in, and I'm going to put that on the edge of the blade and coat that so it's kind of like this. One thing I wish both had was a replaceable blade. They're cheap enough, I guess, where you can just buy a new one. But for those of you that, you know, like to save money, just like a lot of people do, it would be nice if they had an option where you could have a screw or something in here where you could just pop these out and this would pop off and you could just put a brand new blade in there. That way if you were going on a big trip or something, if you happen to bust one, you don't have to carry two tools, you just carry some extra blades. I wish Gerber and the Sagen saw would do that. It'd be the only thing I would change. It would be nice if it was rubberized, maybe a little bit wider, but that's just my hand, so you know, somebody else it could fit just perfectly. But it's a great option for sawing through bones and stuff. It seems to work really well. I've used it quite a bit, and obviously, you know, you can't sharpen this, so when it does get dull, you're gonna have to replace it. But mine hasn't gone dull yet, and I've done at least 10 deer with it. So for 15 bucks, you know, I think that's a pretty good investment. So yeah, that's a Sagen saw. And you can usually get them. I got mine at Fleet Farm, but you can get them on Amazon and stuff for usually around 15 bucks. So any questions or comments, leave them, and I'll try to get back to you. And as always, be respectful. Just my opinions and experiences of using the stuff. So hope you enjoyed this, and see you later.